NBA draft lottery is Tuesday night. Gil Leberton, it begs the question. If you won a lottery and got to choose, would you rather be really smart or really rich?
I think if you're wise, you already are rich.
That's very wise. John Henry?
But I would definitely pick rich because then I can afford to be the moron that I am.
Me and Albert, we'd like to be really smart.
Yeah.
PressBox DFW Live. I'm Richie Witt alongside two venerable Metroplex sports writers, Gil Leberton, John Henry. Episode 11.
Wow.
How many episodes constitutes a season? Like if you binge watch a show, how many episodes do you expect to be in the first season?
Well, I think we've given Breaking Bad a new name, and
Yes.
yes, and I think we've outlasted our expected shelf.
I think next week might be season 2 because we're already season 11. So next week,
That's a good
the
way to put it.
exciting debut of season
The
2.
conclusion, but everybody gets killed.
Let's do a cliffhanger. We need to go to cliffhanger today. All right.
Only the queen and a couple of dragons.
There you go. All right, tonight, Tuesday night, is the NBA draft lottery. The Mavericks have a chance, Gil. Mm-hmm. Not a good chance, but a chance. Don't want to be real mathy. Everybody at home, if you're watching, please silence your phone.
Yes.
Or be kicked out of the theater,
Sorry.
John Henry. You're sitting by Albert Einstein and Ronald Reagan.
It's Ronald Reagan's phone.
Yeah,
Ronald
sure
Reagan's
it is.
phone.
The Mavericks have a 26% chance of moving into the top 4. Jan Hubbard wrote a really good story about the Mavs' horrible history in the lottery this week at PressBoxDFW.com. A 26% chance of moving in the top 5. And if they do that, they keep their pick. They lose their pick if it's not in the top 5 because of last year's Luka Doncic trade with the Hawks. So they have a 6% chance of getting the first pick, which is Zion Williamson. Everybody would like that, right?
Sure.
But 6% chance. If I tell you there's a 94% chance of rain, I mean, we're taking an umbrella, right?
Yeah, but what is the chance of that the New York Knicks, who were the worst team in the league, that they'll get it? Isn't theirs only something like 17%?
17%, yeah.
Yeah.
So they've got a better chance, but the Mavericks, and 6% chance, not really, but a 26% chance, by my math, that's like almost 1/4.
Right.
Maybe a little bit more.
Thank you, Einstein.
You're welcome. See, that's why I
Thank
brought
you,
it.
Duncanville High School.
My calculator, you just spit that out for me. So,
You can count to 10 like no one else.
Sint Marshall, the Mavs CEO, will be on hand tonight. The Mavs have had horrible history. They've never, ever improved their draft position in the lottery. 15 lotteries they've been in. 6 times they went down to a worse pick, and 9 times they went even. They've had bad luck. But, guys, this is such a weak draft. Is this a bad year for the Mavericks to have good luck?
Never.
I don't think it's
Never?
Never.
Tell me
No, I don't
why.
think it's
Because to me, and we'll put up the mock drafts, it's Zion Williamson and then a bunch of guys who I don't think are going to make a big deal in the NBA.
Well, we don't know that.
We don't
You don't
know.
know it, but I've watched college basketball. Ja Morant is a good player from Murray State. Then you've got R.J. Barrett, who's an absolute ball hog from Duke. Rui Hachimura is the 4th in the mock draft, but he's a back-to-the-basket 6'8" center. Is that going to play in the NBA?
Well, I think if you could somehow get number 1, I think if you can get Zion Williamson,
it's worth everything if you get Zion.
Yes.
He's got a 6% chance of that.
Understood. But also Jarrett Culver, I think, could help that team as well.
Or maybe you get the pick and then you trade the pick.
But what do you trade it? I'm just saying this year is not the year to have good luck for the Mavericks.
You trade it for a later first-round pick and
Another one.
a first-round pick
If that's
next
doable,
year.
then I'm with you. Okay. So you are all rooting for good luck then.
Sure.
I wonder what options they have to trade it though. If they, it's only protected in the top 5.
Right.
So I presume.
Oh,
if
you
they-
think they might be prohibited from trading it?
Could they trade now and still keep it? I don't know.
That's
I have
a
no idea.
detailed question. You're going to consult Ronald Reagan on that one.
Oh, he won't know.
Most of the good players in this year's draft are 6'8" or shorter. The first big man that's going to be drafted, by big man I mean 6'11" or more, is Jackson Hayes out of Texas. And if you watched any Longhorns basketball, you know how and he's softer than melted butter. I mean, he's not.
Not ready.
No, not ready. And what the Mavericks are going to need, they got Porzingis, they got Luka. I hate to say this because of what he's done to us and what I feel about him personally. What the Mavericks need is DeAndre Jordan. They need a rim-protecting, rebounding monster who doesn't need the ball to score or be effective. That guy's not in this draft, though. There's no
Probably not. Not as far as we know.
He might be available though.
DeAndre, he's going to be a free agent.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
Yeah, let's get him back for a third go-around, or a second go-around. All right, speaking of the Mavs, did you guys see the video? I know you did because you wrote about it today. Kristaps Porzingis, who the Mavs traded for back in February, didn't play this year because of a torn ACL he was recruiting. Really, the Mavs just kind of saved him for next year so they could have a healthy Porzingis, a healthy Luka, and those two superstars will help us dab our tears over losing Dirk. But he was involved in, Gil, you wrote the column, he was involved in what? What is this? What happened?
I think it was a bar fight.
Okay.
Nothing more, nothing less. Of course, somebody's always got video going. And
Even in
it
Latvia.
looks like things in Latvia. Latvia is very civilized, by the way. Despite this, and this what you see in here, I think, is the end of the video. If Ziggy can rewind it, the thing that seems to be concerning a lot of people, beyond the fact that Kristaps is bleeding, and is in the beginning he wants to engage whoever it is that's harassing him. Supposedly a few Russians, and so.
Yeah, the story is that he's in a bar in Latvia in a group of, I guess, Knicks fans.
Oh, I don't.
Russian
I don't
Knicks
know.
fans.
Russian Knicks fans
I have
are
a
mad
hard
at
time
him
believing
for
this
leaving
story.
Watch,
and
he's gonna-
attacked him with an iron chair.
It looks like his date is trying to hold him back there, and he
Yeah.
pushes her away. But he doesn't hurt her. He
No.
doesn't. There's no injuries. In fact, she comes back to try to push him away again.
That's Springer, raw human emotion.
And
is all
some
that
people
was.
were saying this is very disturbing.
No.
The
Now-
NBA's cracking down on.
We don't. You said date, but I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, we don't know who that is.
But it looked as though she was
With him.
encouraging him not to escalate the situation, which
Right.
would which would lead you to think she's on his in his posse, right?
Yeah, she might work for Cynthia Marshall for all we know.
She might.
But I mean, not to be too good old days syndrome, but that used to be nothing.
Right.
That wasn't even a foul in the NBA back in the playoffs back in the
Oh,
80s.
good Lord. Ask Kurt Rambis about
Right.
that.
Well,
I mean-
what though is getting hit with a chair inside the bar?
That's assault. In anywhere, right? But we don't know. We don't have video of that. We don't know
No.
what happened. But
We
he
probably
had a
not
torn
gonna have-
shirt. He had a bloody head, and the first story I read that he broke his hand, which is oh my gosh, he's hurt again. Talked to a Mavericks guy, Alexander, said he has an injured hand. It's not broken. It's no big deal. So that to me, it's an interesting video, but it's not an issue.
At the end of the video, two local policemen are seen, and they're supposedly in Latvian are telling him, "Please calm down." Nobody gets arrested.
That's good.
You don't see any billy club swinging or no weapons wielding on
Right.
anybody's part. So it looked like a typical Saturday night in Latvia, I guess, to these guys.
Well, he's been here 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months. And he's contributed no points and 2 controversies. All right, that could happen. But
I mean, he is still accused of raping and beating a female girlfriend, woman in New York City last year. Now that's being investigated. The Mavericks are convinced that that's not an issue, that he was being, that the lady was trying to extort him illegally. But at some point, and I don't think we're there yet, but at some point you do look at the common denominator and say it's Porzingis always involved in these situations. I don't think we're there yet, though, do you?
no,
He's not a troublemaker yet.
No,
I don't think so either.
I mean, look, the first incident, the Mavericks, well, the league, or I guess the Knicks or the league, went to the FBI to investigate whether or not this woman was trying to extort him
Yep.
or not. There's no evidence. Apparently, she didn't go to the hospital, to the doctor, to the police. She went to the to email or whatever and said, "Pay me X amount of dollars," and so I'm hesitant to accuse somebody of. I mean, he's got to be. I mean, he's fixing to get $158 million.
Yes.
And I'm sure that puts him right up there with anybody in Latvia.
I don't know the Latvian.
And so he's a big target. He's a 7'3"
wealthiest,
target
yeah.
for stunts like this. And I'm inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, and one of the reasons that these guys in any profession compete at such a high level is because not only they're good.
I'm sorry. As you pontificate about Russian mafia and high level, you're sandwiched between Albert Einstein's pillow and Ronald
Do we have
Reagan's
Hail to the
bust.
Chief? Do we have Hail to the Chief
Yeah.
queued up?
Put the shot back on John and just try to take this man seriously. As, he talks.
Yeah, please. If possible.
As you were saying, sorry. Go ahead.
The reason these guys are so good at what they do is because they're the best competitors in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, three Russian douchebags come up to you and do whatever, he's going to respond to them. He's going to, and
Like we all did when we were 23,
right.
22.
Well, yeah.
immature.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so we think the Mavericks need to win. They could use the good luck and win the lottery tonight. We agree with that, right?
Yeah.
And we agree that based on what we've seen from that video, Porzingis does not need to be suspended. It doesn't even need to be disciplined, does he? For that,
He's not going to be disciplined.
I agree.
They got a long list. If they're gonna discipline him for this, they got to go back.
Absolutely.
I made the remark in my column that if the NFL started suspending guys for going into clubs
Can you imagine?
on Sunday nights,
Yeah.
they'd all be playing 6-man football. There wouldn't be enough guys left
That's right.
to line up the next Sunday.
Class
Exactly right.
Class A Division I.
All right, so we agree on those two things. Let's try to agree on this, though. We have Albert Einstein's pillow, which everybody agrees that's
That's a pillow.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan's bust, which is we'll get to that later. That's fantastic. But what about this Texas Rangers cap? Yeah, what's going on
Oh,
here?
this is neat. On Saturday day, it's a 3:00 day game against the Cardinals, the hated St. Louis Cardinals. The Rangers are hosting Army Appreciation Day. It's the first of their days to honor the brave men and women who fought for our country, served in the military for our country. The Rangers and the City Credit Union are sponsoring this hat giveaway. And a limited number of Army-themed Texas Rangers caps will be available with a voucher that you receive when you purchase a ticket for that day's game. And you have to go to their website to do it. TexasRangers.com/theme nights. Theme nights. TexasRangers.com/theme nights. It gives you all the details. You don't get it just by going through the turnstile on that day. You need to get the voucher, and you need it gives you the instructions on that. This is the Army one. It's got U.S. Army on the back.
Their
For
their
all of
hat
us
nights
Army.
are a genius move.
Yeah,
And
they
they
even
do
great
a
ones.
UTA night. I mean, there's
Yeah.
people,
Oh,
yeah, they
Yeah.
do all the colleges. It's for a team that was needing some oomph to their games. That was a genius idea. Whoever thought that up.
They have the other service stats, the Navy one that's coming up in a few weeks, and then you have the Air Force one, a real pretty gray one, and then there's one for the Marines, and then later on there are ones for the Coast Guard, first responders, et cetera.
Very cool.
So that's Saturday afternoon.
All right. So there is some PressBox DFW Live, episode 11, off to a roaring start. Present company excluded. Who's the biggest perv in DFW sports? Ooh, you heard me. And back to Gil.
Today's pregame meal.
Hey, where are we today, by the way, before we get into the meal? Looks like we're on the
at
set.
the draft lottery.
Are we in Secaucus?
We were somewhere around there. Look at that. That's impressive. What a waste of real estate. Huh?
What year was
Because-
that? Do we know?
Donnie's there. I don't know.
Yeah, Donnie's there. So that was before the Michael Finley curse.
Yes. That might have been last year.
My man.
Even the Cavaliers are there, so
Yeah.
you know.
Looks much better with those
I
bozos
heard,
there.
well, it's like Hub wrote in his story. It's probably the worst TV ever.
It's horrible,
It's probably the
yeah.
worst TV event. It's like being in a library where all of a sudden somebody shouts out, "Oh, I
Yeah.
won."
There's a big reveal in the library.
Yeah, and instantly everybody up there hates the team that
Yep.
wins, right? Everybody gives them it. Today's pregame meal, it's lunchtime. Be thinking about our old friends at Paul Melvin's Restaurant on Beltline Road, North Beltline Road in Irving. For 30 years, Mel LeMaine and his dad, Mel Sr., served Southern cuisine with a Louisiana fare. There's the great fried shrimp. Believe me, you won't find better fried shrimp than that. The seafood gumbo. Paul Melvin's is at 4070 North Beltline Road. Stop by and see Mel Jr. and be sure to tell him you heard about him on the PressBox DFW live podcasts.
If you do that, they give you a free meal.
No,
No,
but
you got that wrong.
But
Do that and they'll shake your
but-
hand.
I
That's
can
what
I
vouch
tell
for
you,
that place. That place
Mel
is
is
great.
Mel is so nice. He's liable to end up with something free.
There you go. Free toothpick.
Okay. One of the things that there's Mel Jr. right there.
Thank you, Melvin.
An unfortunate incident, an unfortunate episode in Denton yesterday. It kind of spawned this topic for the pregame meal, and that was in Denton County, former Rangers pitcher, closer, world champion closer, John Wetland, member of the Texas Rangers Hall of Fame, appeared in court on charges that he sexually molested a young family member, a young male family member in 2004. And he did this allegedly over the span of several years. And it's just an unfortunate incident. I think if you want to read a little bit more about it, in PressBox DFW, Jim Reeves, the great Jim Reeves,
Yeah.
had a nice column this morning of his remembrances and all of working with John Wetland. And we all know John, we all met John, and I hope that this whole case gets settled to.
I find this hard to believe. Of course, you guys know him a lot. In the 90s, I was covering Cowboys and Mavericks, basically, so I went to Rangers games, but never got to spend any time with him. Revo says, great guy, spiritual guy, faith-based guy, was surly at times, but he can't imagine him doing something like this. You spent time with him. What do you think?
I think he was a little prickly sometimes,
Yeah.
but by and large, he was kind and cooperative, and I think he relaxed more when he became a coach, and I talked to him on more than one occasion.
Yeah, he was a coach in the Rangers farm system for years and years. Yeah.
And then I think he coached with the Mariners and other places. But he's, there's a victim here. I mean, there's an alleged
Absolutely.
victim, and it needs to.
This is a heinous crime. If he's
It
guilty
is.
of it, he needs to be.
It's as bad as you can
Yeah.
imagine.
I mean, it's murder, and then there's
Allegedly.
sexual child abuse, right? I mean,
absolutely,
it's
and
right there.
And I don't want to diminish that in any way, but it got me to thinking that I've been here now 39 years, and we've seen scoundrels come and go.
Absolutely.
And so I started thinking about all the sad tales of misbehavior, for lack of a better term, that have occurred around here. And the list is long. And we're talking about people like Michael Irvin.
And how did you characterize the list? What's this a list of?
Well, this is a list of people who really took a divergent path in their crime. Perverts.
Okay.
People who misbehaved mostly of a
I don't mean to laugh, but that's
well.
that's.
I mean, what's
that's
he
the
doing
owner
here?
of-
I don't know. How does he even let himself get this picture taken? But the list includes Hollywood Henderson, Dexter
yeah.
Klingscale. There's lots of people, but to really make the list, it has to be something of deep perversion. And I didn't have great joy in
bet it was-
in putting
you had
this
to
list
take a
together.
shower
But
after you
boy,
looked
was
at
it!
this list.
Yeah, I
God.
felt so dirty, but yet it was somewhat fascinating that these scoundrels, in some cases, are still seen as heroes around
You
here.
don't have to
betcha.
be a good guy to be a great player.
Okay.
We've learned
No.
that a million times.
So I'm gonna go backwards. I couldn't come up with a top five, so I had to make it six. Number six.
Very random, but okay.
Number six. Raphael Septien.
Oh, he's six?
Six.
Oh my God!
Holy cow! This list is already.
I
this
gotta,
list
yeah,
is
I gotta
already
go
good.
get some water or something in this list.
Pleaded guilty to indecency with a 10-year-old girl, given a 10-year probated sentence. Later claimed that he was innocent and said that the Cowboys front office, parentheses, Tex Schramm, I'm sure, talked him into pleading guilty in order to quell the uproar that was caused by the incident. I'll add a quick aside. I was covering the Saints circa 1977, and Raphael was the place kicker for the Saints.
Okay.
And they trained at Dodgertown, and I remember jogging around one of the side football fields there, and it was a trailer park right next to the field, and I'm jogging through it. All of a sudden, one day, emerging from the bamboo, pulling up his pants straightening his clothing. Let's put it that way. Is Raphael? He had found a friend at a young friend at the trailer park. So I was not overly
Every
surprised
part of
when
that
this.
story was disturbing. Starting with emerging from the bamboo.
Number 5.
Nothing good happens out in the bamboo.
Number 5, somebody that y'all I'm sure remember, Joseph Randall.
Yes.
Drafted number 5 by the Cowboys in 2013 from Oklahoma State. He played 3 seasons, I think, with the Cowboys. The first sign that something might be miswired here came in 2014 when Joseph was nabbed while stealing underwear at Dillard's.
That's exactly right.
He was stealing
Underwear and
underwear
perfume. Yeah.
in perfume.
Yep,
Yeah,
I
at
remember.
Dillard's. Things kind of went downhill from there. He had numerous run-ins with the law, a few weed and drug-related things. Got thrown out of a casino and arrested for spitting on the floor.
All normal behavior.
And then, he actually spent 2 years in jail, and then in September of last year, he got charged with rape, and so he's had a much more extensive police blotter than he did NFL career.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah, just
Decent. We had decent hopes for him as a player, but
Yeah.
just a knucklehead.
and it looks like he's gone back to jail. From all
It's a good place for him.
Number 4, Lance Rensel. And
this is
old
a bad
Cowboy
list.
fans, I'm sure, will remember this. There he is with his young bride at the time, Joey Heatherton, who was a famous actress,
Yeah.
singer, dancer. In November of 1970, Lance Rensel, star pass receiver for the Cowboys, was arrested for exposing himself to a 10-year-old girl, and I believe this was in Highland Park, correct?
I believe so.
And that totally embarrassed the organization because there were bumper stickers, "Keep it in your pants, Lance."
Oh, were there
became
really?
Yeah, and there was, and
Before my time.
people took it as a joke back in those days. Now the first thing is, how quick can you get him to Huntsville?
Right.
But back in those days, they thought it was.
And they got to register as a sex offender for life if you get
I'm pretty
accused
sure.
of that.
Yeah. And of course, his wife divorced him 2 years later. I don't know why she waited that long. Now we get into the good
Who
stuff,
made the
though.
bumper stickers? That's a cretin right
Yeah, I
there.
know that's real creepy, but Cowboy
Different
fans.
time.
Find one at a estate sale. I'm gonna bring it. on the back of your computer.
Number 3, and
Yes.
Richie, this will warm your heart.
Oh, boy.
None other than Charles Haley.
Oh, God.
Hall of Famer. And parents, hold your kids' ears as we go through this one.
Yeah, this is
Charles,
earmuffs.
of course, is the only player in history with 5 Super Bowl. Oh no,
He's not
how many does Brady have now?
Brady has
5. They've got 5. They've got 6, right?
They have 6 and he has 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he's tied him now. Okay.
Wait.
You know, Charles claims to be bipolar. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's multipolar from what I've seen, and his most celebrated incident when he was with San Francisco was he got upset one day and urinated on the tires of the in the parking lot of the 49ers general manager Carmen Policy.
He did.
Traded to the Cowboys. Was he traded to the Cowboys?
Yep, traded
was.
And
mid-season.
the things didn't get any better, and I think it's Tony Casillas that tells the story of the first time that they were in the defensive team meeting. Charles sprawled out on the floor wearing only his towel, took the towel off, and began to
Yes.
play with himself.
I was like,
He had a problem with this.
Then I was wrong.
He had a
Dice, marbles. What?
He had a
I'm
problem.
not sure what you mean.
He did this
The
frequently.
solitaire.
He did this frequently. He would do it. He would go around the locker room and do this right next to teammates.
He thought it was a laugh riot. He thought it was
He thought it
really
was
fun.
hilarious.
Yeah.
This is a sick.
That was
sick
his
ball.
version of like popping a teammate with his towel.
Maybe he's the one who came up with keeping your pants Lance.
A lot of
His
this.
towel.
A lot of
Right.
this is documented in Jeff Pearlman's great book, "Boys Will Be Boys." It talks about the Cowboys of the '90s. Charles is featured prominently. He doesn't have a full chapter on himself, but close. All the different.
He was a
You know,
bad dude, but
he
he never
exposed
got
himself
arrested for any of this stuff.
Well, he actually, there it is. He actually exposed himself to Ann Killian, who's a columnist for the San Jose Mercury News.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone should have gotten him in jail. But I mean, he did all this in locker rooms and stuff like that. He's just a bad guy.
I've told you the quick stories of
He's
him
in the Hall of
calling
Fame.
me Richie, a
Oh,
word
yeah.
that rhymes with
Yeah.
wit and
Yeah, he
starts
called-
with an S,
yeah.
and would throw rolls of tape at me just because I was the little white punk. Now, He would just say it to my face.
Right.
I never even met the guy before.
Yeah.
Just a bad human. Since then, he said, I'm bipolar, I was off my meds, and he's apologized, but still on the list.
No.
He deserves to be on the list.
Yeah.
All right, number 2.
Oh, by the way, 6 Super Bowl rings for Haley and for Brady.
Okay. Number 2.
Is Brady on this list?
I lumped all of the Mavericks mess in here at number 2 because I think that there he
Accepting
is.
the award as
And
a team.
the award is Tardiva ushering, then the club's president, and this whole because of the level that this perversion reached, the club president and then it went all the way down to the level of the the senior account executive, the guy that they called Pants DJ because he was always whatever.
Yeah.
And Chris Hyde's his name. There's no sense Hyde. Now that's not Chris Hyde. That's Earl K. Sneed.
Earl K. Sneed.
His offense, his role in this whole thing was just domestic violence against a couple of girlfriends.
Yeah.
And I say just because it pales in comparison.
Unfortunately,
with
you're right.
Tardima, he would. Can you imagine in the workplace? He actually grabbed some female employees by the face and kissed them right on the lips in the middle of the office.
This
Who
is
does
so
stuff
hard to
like
believe,
this?
but I mean, several witnesses said it.
And
It got
Yeah,
investigated.
and he did it to more than one person
Yeah.
apparently. There was a lot of bad stuff going on there. I think Mark Cuban learned a real lesson. We hope he learned a real lesson in this.
He
that's
learned
why
a
Cynthia
$10 million
Marshall-
lesson. Now,
Right.
to him, that's, to me and you, that's like $100. But he
Right.
did. I mean, it was absolutely humiliating, and he hired
Right.
Cynthia Marshall to be the CEO and public apology, the whole thing. But
Right.
it's one of the darkest marks on any American sports franchise.
especially a franchise that began with
Don
the
Carter.
original owner Donald Carter, who was who wanted the Mavericks to stand for everything good and honest in the world.
Yep.
All right, let's get to number one, and this is a guy that I mean, he
I can't
wins
either.
far and away, and that's Chad Curtis,
Oh,
the former New York Yankee. I made sure we had a picture of him in his Yankee uniform. Although he did play for.
Yeah. You remember this?
He played for a couple of years with the Rangers, and he had his first sign that he was a little twisted was when he started the big argument in the Rangers clubhouse, turning down the music that was playing in the clubhouse. He thought it was.
It was Royce Clayton who played shortstop.
Royce Clayton was playing something called the thong song.
The thong song, which was a big song.
And popular at the time, and Chad went up and
Christian
turned
Curtis
it
said, "I won't have that in my clubhouse."
Well, Chad Curtis would go and turn off when they were looking at the Jerry Springer show on the TVs.
Oh, he would. He was
would
that
turn
offended by
right.
it.
He was that offended.
All right, what did he do?
He also told Gabe Kapler, who was Jewish, a Jewish teammate, that he was going to hell because he didn't accept Jesus Christ.
I never heard that.
Which is, of course,
Or forgotten
great
it.
for clubhouse dynamics.
I mean, he's living in a glass house. Let's
but-
hear what happens to him.
Yeah.
But he was
throwing
always
stones.
he was always a weird boy. He was traded numerous times, and Chad Curtis was convicted in 2013. Chad Curtis went off to, I guess, in his home state of Michigan, and bounced around a few places. Ended up working as a volunteer assistant coach at a high school in Michigan. In 2013, he was convicted of sexually assaulting 3 underage female students at the high school in Michigan. What is it about Michigan? Home of Larry Nassar. He was a courtroom there found him guilty on all 6 counts, at which time he addressed the court for an hour after his sentencing, and or maybe it was before sentencing, and accused all the victims of lying. He says that the girls, in fact, were the ones who made advances at him. The prosecuting attorney said that he had never seen anything so self-serving said in a courtroom before. He's currently serving 7 to 15 years in a Michigan prison. However, he is eligible for parole next year. He's just a weird
I was about to say,
person.
there's just something off about him, wasn't there?
Always.
I mean, it wasn't
Yes.
just the overbearing, let me shove my religion down your throat. It was cloaking a really deep, dark, ugly secret about his desires.
Right.
That's really creepy.
Yeah. Oh, and the testimony of the girls. I mean, it's real nasty to read it, and I hope he's having a good time in prison. I hope he's making lots of friends.
A lot of people use religion to try to escape that underbelly of that they
true.
know that they have, that underside they know that they have.
Yeah, unfortunately, guys like him make us skeptical when other men of faith are so, overbearing. So, all right, read our daily writing at PressBoxDFW.com. Watch and or listen right here weekly, PressBox DFW Live. Next up, is it time for the White House to stop inviting sports teams? We'll see.
Welcome to Double Dribble.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. This week, Double Dribble is brought to you by Hunt's Lawn Services. If your curb needs more appeal, if your Garden of Eden needs more felicity, no fuss lilies, or if you simply need to beautify outdoor spaces, your friend is Hunt Lawn Services. Your very good friend. Call 817-658-7014. He'll kind of give you a good bid. Clint Hunt, he owns that thing. A good friend of
Clint
mine.
Hunt. He does good lawn service. Can he get you a hat that fits?
No. Clint Hunt was a hell of a baseball player at Southwest High School.
Was he?
Fort Worth, yeah. Many years ago.
And that led to a lawn service business.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Southwest, of course, was a bastion of both learning and baseball at one time, and Clint was one of the best. Southwest had a number 1 draft pick there in 1970s.
Named Oliver Miller. Oh, that's wrong sport.
He was too, but I can't remember his name. Catcher went to the Blue Jays.
Let's look that up.
Okay.
Can I ask you about your toys today? Because I went to my mom's for Mother's Day, of course. My mom's 79 years old, wouldn't know social media if it bit her. But I showed her just for fun. Me and my brother thought it'd be a fun experiment. I took my iPhone, called up our vodcast from last week and said, look, here's what I'm doing, Mom. And she wasn't like, I'm proud of you, son, or this is really cool, or what is that device you're holding? All she wanted to know was, who is that talking? And I was like, well, that's John Henry. She goes, no, the statue. She went back and watched every episode just to see who you brought in. She was fascinated by, why would he have that? And why does he have? And I'm like, when you find out, you tell me. So my mom's probably going to watch this and go, oh my God, it's Ronald Reagan. Where did you get the biggest Ronald Reagan
She
bust
won't have a problem
ever?
seeing this one.
I think she'll be fine.
I got him at the Simi Valley, in Simi Valley at the Reagan Library.
Gotcha. Where does that?
How'd you get that thing home?
Where does that reside in
You
your
put it in
house?
your suitcase?
No, there's kind of a funny. He is the reason I started collecting these things.
Okay.
Because my ex-wife and I went with the family to California, started in Sacramento, rented a car, drove all the way down. Each of us got to pick something we wanted to do.
That's good so far. I like the story.
The thing I wanted to do was go to the Reagan Library. And of course, they all were like, gosh, shit, really? That turns out they loved
You got
it.
to pick, though.
I got to pick, whatever.
What's the catcher's name? Brian Milner.
Brian Milner was
Thank
the catcher's name. Thank you.
I just texted my friend.
Southwest High School,
John-
1977 or 78 or something like that.
John Google just told me that was accurate.
So anyway, we get to the end of the tour of the Reagan Library, and of course you end up in the museum store.
Yep. And
I saw this beauty, and I said, I've got to have it. And and my ex-wife was like, no, you don't have to have it. In fact, you're not going to get it.
I kind of would have said the same thing.
You're not getting it. There's an expense. We got to get it home. All this stuff. So I left. I didn't get my way on that. So when fate took its course and we went our separate ways, the first thing I bought was Ronald Wilson Reagan.
So there, take that.
And so then I started. I got it home, and it was such a cool accessory that I'm like, I got to have more of these. So I started.
You're hooked.
I started finding them. Yeah, it was like crack.
That was your first line of Coke right there.
Exactly right.
Now you're
exactly
hooked.
right. Okay, we have some. We need to wrap up some business from a week ago.
Yes, we do. We had some Tony Romo bets.
Let me first get to something that was left open last week about tattoo.
What was left open about tattoos?
Now, I was immediately confronted by a friend of mine in Soccer Nut, Robert King.
Yeah, Robert Earl King.
One of
He's good.
the best bartenders in 254 counties, who said the first time I saw him, he said, "You need to tell Richie that Tattoo did play at American Airlines."
What did was I emphatic that he did?
Well,
not play there?
Robert's the guy who believes that there should be 3 statues outside American
Oh
Airlines.
God. Okay.
Dirk Nowitzki, Mike Modano, and Tattoo. And I believe you said no. Well, we all agree that Tattoo should not be outside.
No, I'm sorry, Robert.
But you said specifically, no, he didn't even play there.
Okay.
And I thought you were right. And he said, no, you have to tell him he did play there.
I don't doubt.
The Sidekicks played the very first
They
game.
did the first sporting
At
event.
American-
Yeah, I was there.
The very sporting
and
event.
Tattoo played in that game.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, Robert.
We stand corrected, Robert.
You're right about that, but
Thank you
you're
for
so
watching.
wrong about him having a statue outside of AAC.
I suggested that perhaps on Dirk's statue, he's holding Tattoo like a baby.
I suggest we just throw Tattoo's jersey on the vacant field that is now Union Arena. That's fine for him.
Fair enough. Okay.
Let's get to our
Robert,
Romo
I
bets.
hope you're happy. All right. Yes, we had Tony Romo prop bets last week. We had 4 of them. Ziggy kept the count on our wonderful producer. Ziggy kept the score on this.
Yes, I am ready to tell which of the 3 of you is
Which
the
way
biggest
we bet.
loser.
So I've got the actual final score. You got the category. It's going to be a 3-man circus.
Yeah,
Gil, would
well,
you like to hum
We are a
or
team. This is a
play a
sports show.
harmonica
We
or
are a team.
something? All right, Gil. What was the first bet
All right,
last
the first
week?
bet was how many shots will Tony Romo miss the cut by at the Byron Nelson?
Okay.
And the over-under was 11.5.
Yes. 11.5. Okay.
11.5.
So
We had to take the over on that.
I took the
Ziggy,
over.
who took what?
Gil took the over. John took the over. Richie took the under.
The final answer was 10. He was +8, and the cut was -2. So the under wins.
What a bitch.
So I got
Sounds
$100
like-
in the bank.
Sounds like my gambling career in a nutshell is going to go down here. Okay, highest score on any hole.
Yes.
Over under was 7.5.
Ziggy?
Gil took the under. John took the over. Richie took the under.
John, you got trouble. He double bogeyed 3 holes, but they were all par 4s. His highest score on any hole was a 6. So the under cashes.
This sounds very familiar.
I'm
Okay,
2-0. Let's go.
lowest score on any hole.
Yes.
The over under was 2.5.
Gil took the under. John took the over. Richie took the under.
Oh, did we? We thought he'd make a birdie on a par 3. He did not have any birdies on any par 3s. His lowest score on any hole was a 3, so the over cashes.
So I'm only down 1,000.
Right.
All right.
I'm only up 1,000. Last one.
Lowest score in any round. Over under was 75. I took the over.
And so did everyone else.
Oh, good, because he shot 76 in the first round. That is over. So I went 3-1. So y'all can pay me in rubles or pennies or really
Marbles.
cool statues, whatever you need.
Alcohol.
So Romo missed the cut, and like Gil, like you said, he wasn't even a factor. It was just like a novelty act, wasn't it?
It was.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
It
let's
was
go
a
to the
good one
White
for
House.
them.
What's going on there?
All right. So let's go to the White House. I'm working on a story for PressBox DFW about White House visits. And, of course, the White House visits are back in the news again because
Because why? Go ahead and finish that.
because most recently, Virginia's national championship basketball team, that's very difficult for me to say,
That hurts.
declined completely to go to the White House. Just before that, it was Alex Cora, the manager of the Red Sox,
Yeah.
who said he's not going, although the Red Sox did go.
The Red Sox, SOCKS,
That's right.
Yeah, 3 pairs of Red Sox win,
As
but not
he-
the whole
as-
That's
thing.
right.
as he spelled it on Twitter.
That's right.
Oh, don't even start.
So, Virginia not going merely verified for me that the wrong team won the national championship game. But should have been Texas Tech, as we all know. However, it got me to thinking about the wisdom of making these visits anymore. Almost like the wisdom of playing the national anthem at sporting events anymore. It's become so controversial and overshadows what's going on the field that it's become something I believe that might as well just quit doing. I believe that it's ultimately politics has been ruined, like everything else, by social media and the 24-hour news cycle.
Okay.
And everybody, now these White House visits have become an extension of that. It's a place for them to make a statement and air any bitch.
Pick up a burger.
Bear any bitch they have. Once upon a time, these things were fun.
But hasn't it changed because of one person, though? Because you weren't saying this
Not
even-
necessarily.
We weren't serving fast food hamburgers, and we weren't having people declining, and we weren't spelling Red Sox SOCKS.
Well. Tom
That's what's
Tom
changed.
Brady and some other guys didn't go for Obama because of political purposes.
Okay.
There were a handful that didn't go.
But now it's a front page headline issue.
It's
Yeah,
Come
there's our
on.
Clemson visit right there.
There you go.
That was Baylor women's basketball. Remember the picture
Yes,
of Kim
did the same
Mulkey
thing.
looking at it going, I'm not having that.
Larry Bird didn't go in 1984 because it was the day after they won.
He was just hungover.
He was hungover.
That was his reason. Okay, that's
He was absolutely
acceptable.
hungover. He said, if the president wants to find me, he knows where I am, which was sleeping somewhere.
That's
Apparently,
kinda-
he didn't go to bed at all.
That's actually kind of funny. That's a excused absence.
But these things go back to they actually go back to Andrew Johnson, believe it or not, who had the Brooklyn Atlantics and the Washington Nationals amateur baseball clubs. The first professional team is the oldest one around, which is the Reds, and that was Ulysses S. Grant, who invited them over in 1869.
1869, there were teams going to the White House. I had no idea.
The first championship team, though, was the Senators in 1924 with Calvin Coolidge. But it was still...
There's the oldest known color photograph in the world.
There it
That's
is.
got to be doctored, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think in 1924 they didn't have.
I don't think that was a cell phone.
That wasn't a selfie, was it?
And then, time and again, it didn't become a regular thing, but time and again, the presidents would invite these champions. Jimmy Carter invited the Steelers and the Pirates in 1979. Gerald Ford invited the Hoosiers, the undefeated Hoosiers, and Bobby Knight in 1976. But this is why I brought Ronald Reagan here today. It was Ronald Reagan who made this a regular occurrence. He invited all the world champions to come, and it was a fun deal. Harry Carson dumped popcorn over his head as the Gatorade thing.
I did not remember that. That's cool.
For the Redskins, he threw a pass to Ricky Sanders.
I do remember that.
And he invited, all the baseball teams.
So Reagan made it a staple.
Reagan made it a staple.
Gotcha.
And it became something fun, and of course, it's been ruined since then. Now, just because of the politics. Now, I agree the current occupant is not helpful.
He's just making it controversial. That's all I'm going to say.
Not because everything has to be controversial with him.
Absolutely.
Everybody didn't think he was a very good politician, but he turned out to be one of the best because he realized, I don't care if you're talking ill or good of me, just please talk about me.
Sure.
And he's mastered that. Fay Vincent has weighed in on this. The former baseball commissioner.
Oh, brother.
What's he saying about it?
Who cares?
Fay Vincent has weighed in on it?
Fay Vincent has weighed in on
What's he
it.
going to say? All right,
Well,
go ahead.
it dealt with the Red Sox. Former baseball
Oh, okay.
commissioner dealt with the Red Sox.
Go.
So he's of the opinion that the Red Sox players who didn't go made a mistake, in that, and he used an anecdote from his days with George Herbert Walker Bush. He went into the White House and said, "Hey, Poppy," because Fay Vincent had known Bush for years, and Poppy was his nickname. And he was embarrassed, and he corrected himself. He said, "I'm sorry, Mr. President."
Right.
And Bush said, "That's all right." He goes, "But I understand what you're talking about. This office is bigger than any one person, bigger than me, bigger than any one person."
Okay.
So Fay Vincent says those Red Sox who didn't go made a mistake because of that same lesson, that he had failed to respect the presidential office. It should serve as a reminder to everybody else that the head of our nation should never be shown disrespect, no matter who it is. And he's probably right, but that ship has probably sailed because social media and the 24-hour news cycle has poisoned everybody's.
I think I know when this tradition got ruined, and it was March of 1993. The Cowboys won the Super Bowl 27, were invited to the White House, and they let this knucklehead in.
Charles Haley.
Charles Haley was there, though, but yeah,
That on your right is yours truly.
Wow.
That's Bill Clinton, and that is Marilyn Love, Jerry Jones'
sure.
long time secretary. And I'll tell the quick story. So we got to visit the White House, and like 5 seconds before that picture was taken, they made an announcement, no more photographs, no more handshaking, President Clinton must leave. And I was like, I was in line, but I was like 7th in line. I'm like, I'll be damned I'm not getting a picture. So I ran behind the line, and he didn't even know I was there. So the picture got taken. I was just I was photobombing. And the Secret
Photobomb
Service
Maryland's picture.
stepped in, and they didn't make me get out of the way, but they were like, okay, line cutter, get out of here.
If you'd only been able to photobomb that day when the dress got tainted. But
Oh, dear.
I do have one funny story about
All right, go
a White House visit before we quit. It was when the San Francisco 49ers went there in 1989, and Mike Holmgren was an assistant on that team. George Herbert Walker Bush was the president, and Holmgren brought his young daughter. And Holmgren told a newspaper reporter after that he shook hands with the president, who then said, "Mike, you kind of like him young, huh?"
Oh.
And First Lady Barbara Bush intervened and said, "George, that's his daughter." These things probably ought to end.
Yeah, that should end right there. When I was in there, and when that happened, we should. The White House is for politics only.
Real quick,
Yeah.
should they stop this tradition?
I think so.
At least suspended.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I think it's funny to laugh.
It becomes
at
such a spectacle.
Yeah,
I
it's a
think,
good spectacle.
I think a visit to the White House, though, should be cherished,
Yeah,
regardless of who's the sitting
Yeah,
president is.
I agree.
And these guys probably get a little bit more than the $10 tour.
Yep.
And they should all go and just to see the capital of
Yeah,
not the capital, but the
I
place.
kind of feel bad for Virginia not going. I mean,
Right.
what a great educational experience that would be for those kids, and chances are they'll never go back.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly right. All right, there's some politics for you here on PressBox DFW Live. Next up in Wits End, if you like style over substance, this is the Ranger for you. Wits End, brought to you by half Poe Melvins and half, who is this again? What's the name of it? Hunt Lawn Service. They're going to
Hunt's
split the
Lawn
duties.
Service.
All right. Women sometimes wear a ton of makeup and perfume and jewelry, and they're just camouflaging the fact that they're 50 pounds overweight, right? You know this happens. It's like, look at my bling and look at my hair, and it's because it's style over substance. This guy drives me absolutely crazy, and I'm going to name all the things I don't like about him, and then we're going to put a picture up. I watched the game the other night, and I went top to bottom about what bugs me. On his helmet, he's got extra pine tar. Underneath his helmet, he's got a headband.
Instantly.
Then he's got shades. Then even if they're not games, he wears eye black. Then he's got this scraggly, huge beard. Then he wears like a gold rope of a necklace. Then he wears his shirt unbuttoned down to his navel. Then he has tattoos. Then he's got an elbow guard. He's got wrist wraps. He wears gloves. He wears baggy pants, and he wears a shin protector.
You sound like Rain Man.
Right. All of that does not even sound like a human. That is the Rangers' second baseman. It's this guy. Look how ridiculous Rougned Odor looks. Now, he would look cool if he was worth a dang. You're looking at a guy who dresses himself up like a Christmas tree every day to play baseball. He's hitting 137.
He's back to last year's Rougned.
He's got 13 hits and 40 strikeouts this year. You a fan of Odor? And what do we do with him?
Not right now. I'm
Of course not right now. Long term. You like him or no?
No, not anymore.
No.
No, I don't.
What do we do with him,
I mean,
though?
what's his? He's been in the league for 5 years.
He can go to the minors. Absolutely.
but
He doesn't get it.
yeah, I mean, he hasn't. He doesn't seem to me like he's improved.
He's wailing on every pitch.
Absolutely.
And then when he does draw, he used to draw a walk
Right.
once every 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Right.
once every
That
4
was
weeks.
that was his. That was.
he had
his
33
actual-
homers and 30 homers back-to-back years.
Yeah.
Now he's hitting 13
Well,
hits.
and you look at the other guy we've talked about plenty here on this in this forum is Joey Gallo, who has made strides in the last 2 years.
Gallo's improved.
He's
Odor's
improved.
regressed.
Yeah.
But in some machismo Rangers fans' minds, Odor will always be a
No,
hero
it's,
because he
Yeah.
punched Jose Bautista.
Right.
Sure.
That's the problem with the Rangers fans. All right, there's Wits End for you
He said
on
it, not me.
PressBox DFW Live. Next up, time to round the bases. Let's head for home. Come up. Walk Off, sponsored by the good folks at Albert Einstein and Davey O'Brien, getting absolutely dwarfed by Reagan today. The 11th episode is today, and guys, all of a sudden our little venture's taking off. We had 8,000 views last week. We had 2 weeks ago. We're over 6,000 for last week. A lot of people watching on Facebook Live. They're watching, they're sharing, they're spreading the word. And I hear that even on Facebook Live, we're
Yeah.
getting some comments during the
Yes.
show. So just keep them coming. We'll try to answer those as the weeks go on.
I've got a couple here.
Oh, let's keep them clean and make them positive.
Our good friend Dave Donino has weighed in on today's show. He says that Gil has an awesome shirt.
Oh wow.
It's a good looking shirt.
That's a Jerry Fraley special. If you know who the old
Yeah.
Rangers,
Well.
the old morning news Rangers writer, always
Yeah.
wear a Hawaiian shirt wherever you went.
Well, it's a Hawaii kind of day.
He also seemed to believe that the reason I couldn't get that hat on is because of the hair.
That's it.
I think just Reagan's your ego's even bigger than Reagan.
Could be. Could be. Could be.
All right, so shout out to Facebook Live. Gil, what do we got on the site this week?
We
that
have
we're
plenty of
happy
good
about?
stuff. Richie, you have a great story on. I think it's actually pronounced Headache.
It is Stephen Headache Smith.
Stephen, and that's okay.
That was a great story.
That's a great story. You need
was a
you
great
need to
story.
read it.
If you remember, 25 years ago, he was involved in one of the most infamous point shaving scandals in college basketball history, and he's right here from DFW, and he's back in DFW, turned his life around. He's telling a really sad but motivational story.
Point shaving.
Yeah,
Jeez.
point shaving, absolutely.
Revo, we mentioned Revo's story about the John Wetland that he
Got to
knew.
read that one. It's a really good story.
I weighed in on the Kristaps Porzingis case. John has a great story there about. You got to read it. It's about two guys that started a golf course.
In the federal pen.
Yeah.
In the federal pen.
The same pen that Dwayne Caraway is the disgraced former city
There it
council.
is.
That is not Dwayne Caraway.
That is not. That's
And-
T.A. Averillo.
Of course it is.
And our buddy Matt Mosley's got a good story up there about Kellen Moore hinting that the Cowboys might actually use two running backs in the game at the same time.
In the same backfield.
In the same backfield.
That's like the wishbone
And-
in this
and
day.
Mosley's, of course, I don't want to spoil the lead for you. I mean, spoil the ending for you. But Mosley says he'll believe it when he sees it.
Right. All right. Read us again at PressBoxDFW.com daily. Watch us or listen to us right here, PressBox DFW Live. Will it be episode 12 next week, or will it be season 2, episode 1? Tune in to find out. For Gil Leberton and John Henry, I'm Richie Witt. We'll see you in the PressBox DFW.